random weather days today. It's cloudy, but it's raining in some parts and sunny on others. Here it feels like it's dripping a little bit in some cases. And what's going on today? How about this one? It's kind of interesting. Apparently there's this battery that claims they can increase drone flight times by 60 to 80%. It says Montavista launches a new line of lithium metal battery products, increasing flight time of a commercial drone by 60 to 80%. Montavista Energy Technologies Corporation, an explorer of innovative lithium metal battery technologies, has unveiled a new product line featuring both high power and high specific energy. In recent flight tests conducted by several drone developers, the commercial drones equipped with the Montavista's new Metairie P-Series product have demonstrated 60 to 80% longer flight time in comparison with that using a commercial lithium-ion battery. And it gets really technical here by the sounds of it. It says by adopting a lithium metal anode and an optimized non-flammable liquid electrolyte, the Metairie P-Series cells provide not only a high specific energy, over 400 watt-hours per kilogram that can sustain an ultra-long in-air time for a commercial drone, but also a high specific power that can lift and maneuver it safely at high speed. And as they mentioned, there were companies who are developing things like electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, which this obviously would be a huge bump in performance. I wonder though, how about things like battery life during cold weather? Apparently that's an issue when it comes to things like electric cars right now when it comes to recharging and stuff. But either way, I guess the longer it lasts, the better. Who knows, maybe a regular consumer drone and so forth will start lasting for an hour minimum as a standard. And this was kind of an interesting read. People often say when it comes to things like consumer drones right now and regulations is over the top, but when it comes to commercial companies, they could get what they want. Would that be the case here? It's kind of interesting. Where Walmart is using drone deliveries in some areas, and apparently they want some restrictions, I guess, lifted so they can operate in more places. This one says, House Subcommittee okays loosening up restrictions for Walmart drones. Florida legislators are considering a bill that makes it easier to build drone ports and harder for local governments to oppose them as Walmart launched a drone delivery service in several cities last year. According to this, it says they approved the HB 1071 that would allow delivery drone ports to be exempt from Florida building and fire codes. The bill would also ban governments from withholding business tax receipts or occupational licenses to prohibit drone delivery services based on a drone port's location. They also say here, if you pass this and put this in the statute, the law will be that these cannot be in residential neighborhoods, said Rep. Spencer Roach, who presented the bill on behalf of the sponsor Rep. Y.M. Duggan at Friday's committee meeting. And then it talks about how it's Walmart basically that's expanding, I guess, aggressively per se, with the company Droneup and all that. So from reading this, normally what they would do to set up operations is they'd go to something, I guess, like a Walmart parking lot and just set up a tent, for example, temporarily. And it says, in order to build a permanent structure that Roach compared to resembling a wide chimney, a drone tower is required to have a standalone ladder and fire suppression system, building and fire code requirements that would be exempt if the bill passed. The cost to build a separate stairwell and a fire suppression system in these small things is over $1 million, so it's really cost prohibitive. With that, they kind of commented, how is it cost prohibitive for a company like Walmart that makes billions of dollars each year? But I guess the other argument is they say these laws and stuff, they weren't written for modern day usage, for example, like drone delivery. It says, I just don't think that when the building code was written back in 1974, they possibly envisioned that you would have a company operating small individual aircraft delivering things. Roach said, we're trying to match the law with the current technology. That would be true, although I would say for, let's just say, a recreational flyer and so forth, the laws absolutely don't make sense for people flying it for fun and so forth. For the most part, they weren't designed, for example, for people flying, quote, toys, a model aircraft in the field or something like that. These things were meant for huge manned aircraft and all that. But for these commercial operations, I would say, honestly, it'd be a different story, because if you're talking about things like in the first story, flying passengers, or in this one potentially transporting heavy cargoes non-stop everywhere, then they should have more, I guess, restrictions in general in terms of making sure the thing actually works, versus, for example, expecting some kid flying no higher than their house in the backyard Oh no, for that, you're gonna treat that like a huge man aircraft because it could all of a sudden dart, I don't know, 2,000 feet in the air and hit an aircraft or something like that. Because that's ludicrous in my opinion. And the last thing I read today, which is kind of, I guess, crazy, I guess the police here issued all these videos and warnings about somebody going around and stealing people's purses in restaurants. It's kind of crazy seeing all the footage. From the looks of it, the guy just goes into restaurants. No one suspects a thing. You think they're looking for, I guess, whoever they're supposed to be meeting or potentially ordering something eventually. But what he does is he looks around for people who have things like a purse, I guess, hung on their chair, and when they turn away, he just casually steals it and all that. So many of the situations too, you wouldn't believe it, like in such an open area and all that, and just casually going out. That's crazy. And I guess unfortunately in this case, by the looks of it, the guy conceals his identity by wearing a mask and so forth. That would make me think too, maybe this kind of relates to that other story. You guys remember that one I read in the US where in New York the theft is so high, and one of the reasons they say is because so many people are wearing masks that conceal their identity, and they're not doing it for, say, health reasons per se. It's basically to cover themselves up so they don't get caught, so they're demanding businesses to tell people to remove their mask before they enter the store. Will that be a thing, I guess, here too, when it comes to things, for example, like a restaurant or anything like that? Will they demand people to remove their mask before they actually go in? So that would be interesting if that actually happens here, for example, for all businesses where they tell people to remove their masks in case they're trying to use it as a way to conceal their identity and all that. I would imagine a restaurant too. If you're gonna eat there and so forth, you'd take it off normally, correct? Alright, see you guys later.